Good evening. My name is Janice Lima McCloud, and it is my pleasure to be your MC for tonight for the presentation of our first set of candidates for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the viewing audience, both local and internationally, and to our members of the party. We are excited to introduce our candidates who will be contesting seats in the upcoming general elections. This is your opportunity to meet and hear from our candidates as to why you should vote for them. Our party's slogan is "Time for Real Change." And tonight, you will understand why you should vote for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Ian Griffith. Ian is a founding member of the Progressive Empowerment Party and is very keen on fixing his country. He has been involved in activism for many years and has been strongly outspoken on many occasions. I am very pleased to introduce Ian.
Thank you, Janice. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago and the viewing public. My name is Ian Griffith, as I was introduced. You're witnessing a milestone in history as the Progressive Empowerment Party presents to you candidates in the upcoming election. If you want to change anything in this country, marching from south to north, being a keyboard warrior on Facebook is not going to change anything. You have to go to the epicenter of where the disease and the cancer is. And ladies and gentlemen, that is in Parliament. There are a lot of people silently sitting in their homes thinking that change is needed, real change is needed. And that brings me to the most recent expression that was put into the public space by Gabriel Fario. Well spoken, well articulated, and even though it was a private message and it was leaked, it's a sentiment that expressed everything everyone was feeling. Maybe not everyone could have expressed it like that, but since the opening of the bars, people having their little nip on their Red Bull may be saying it quite differently, but they're saying exactly the same thing. The only regret I have is that he had to apologize to the person who criticized him for stating a fact in life, that the present government and politics in general, and the UNC, and the PNM, do not have the interests of the nation at heart. What is the benefit of the Progressive Empowerment Party? Now, the political pundits on both sides are going to tell you that it's a duopoly. There's no way the Progressive Empowerment Party or any third party can form a government or make an inroad into politics. But I wouldn't be so quick to come to judgment on that. I would take my time and think about this based on the statistics we have. The facts are, the number of persons who sit out the election year after year when elections are held are greater in numbers than the number of people who actually vote for the party that is elected. Our focus should not be on the sycophants on either side. Our focus should be to appeal directly to those persons like ourselves who sit at home, do not vote, and when the election results are announced, hold their nose for 5 years and stay quiet. My appeal is to that particular group. We are not here to try to convert the unconverted. Leave them where they are. Those people in the middle, this is your opportunity to make a better change in the country. And that is my appeal to you. You need to change that mindset. Take a chance, do it privately, come out of the poll, don't say you have to vote, but let the nation know by the results when the election is called, you wanted real change, and you only saw real change in the Progressive Empowerment Party. Now, from Progressive Empowerment Party has a list of candidates that are untarnished to unblemished by corruption. Now, let me just say this. There's a paragraph, there is a page, and there is possibly one chapter in each one of us book of life that we don't want anyone to read. And they're going to come at you and they're going to attack you. They're going to be ad hominem. But most of those people who are going to be attacking you, the whole book in their life, you don't want anyone to read. And I wish to tell all the persons who have made themselves available as candidates here, you have one of the most formidable persons to defend you when that vitriol starts in Philip Alexander. And I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. If the duopoly is not broken in this election, this is going to be the mother of all elections. Get your popcorn. What's your favorite beverage? Sit out, because it's going to be ground zero war. It's time to stop eating parliamentary food and drinking cabinet wine at the expense of the population of Trinidad and Tobago. Time for real change. The change is now. Vote PEP. Vote a brand new government into office. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Next up is the co-chair of the mobilization team of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Michelle Davis. Michelle is president and owner of her own consultancy firm and a lecturer at the Arthur Lockjack Global Business School. Michelle possesses a wealth of international experience and knowledge that can take this country forward, prompting her entry into the political arena.
Thank you, Janice, for that introduction. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. As we look forward to our future, we must look at our past. 57 years of mismanagement, corruption, and greed that has left us with more questions than answers. Why in 2020 are we still talking basic necessities of water, education, healthcare, and a livable wage that so many countries are privileged to? Why are our citizens suffering? Why are thousands unemployed? Where has the money gone? Ask yourself, is this what we deserve as a nation? Ask yourself, is this what I want for my future? Thousands of citizens unemployed. Thousands of parents unable to feed their children. Thousands of the youth with no future. At the Progressive Empowerment Party, we represent solutions. Solutions to a better country. Solutions to a country that nothing works. Solutions and not excuses. Ask yourself, why is the average citizen plagued by so many problems? Why is governance in this country working for some and not others? Why in areas such as Laventille, Beetham, Cedras, Toco, Erin, they have seen no development, no future, no hope? Because we continue to govern with only the elite in mind, with not the average citizen. If we, the citizens, seek change, we must say no to corruption, no to mismanagement, and no to the disruption destroying this country. Why does governance work in other countries and not in Trinidad and Tobago? We are being deliberately mismanaged, deliberately lied to, deliberately sold into the ground. If we, the citizens, want change, we must take a stand. We must take a stand for our children, our grandchildren, and ourselves. The change starts with us. At the Progressive Empowerment Party, we believe in one people, one nation, one flag, one direction in going forward for a future, for better governance, for a better country. Join us today in our efforts to bring this country forward, to bring this country to first world standards, to bring this back to the sweet TNT that we once knew and loved. Say no to the criminal elements plaguing this country. Say no to the deficiencies we face as citizens. Say yes to functionality. Say yes to a bright future. Come join us today. The change starts with you. Be the change that you want to see in this country. Be the change that takes us forward and united as one country. Vote the Progressive Empowerment Party. Let's fix our country.
I would like to introduce our candidate for the constituency of Diego Martin Central, Felicia Holder. Felicia is the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party. She is also head of the Finance Committee, a director of the non-profit arm of the organization, and the host of a weekly political commentary on social media. Though she has a background of close to 8 years in corporate communications, she discovered her untapped passion when she entered the political arena. Standing firm in the belief that we are the change we have been waiting for, she is humbled and proud to offer herself in service to her country.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Felicia Holder, your Progressive Empowerment Party's candidate for Diego Martin Central. And I'm very, very excited to be saying that out aloud. One of the first things they tell us when we are nominated as a candidate is that we'll be delivering the same speech I'm giving to you right now, that is supposed to tell you why you should choose me as your representative. My political opponents will tell you about their degrees, all their community work, their professional experience, because on paper, that's what a good candidate is supposed to do and sound like, right? But I have a different story about why you should choose me as your representative for Diego Martin Central. You see, for the past 3.5 years, I have been on an incredible journey, a difficult journey, but rewarding journey as the chairman and head of finance for the Progressive Empowerment Party. I mean, this broadcast alone that you guys are watching, I don't think any of you would ever be able to understand what went into the energy, the hard work, the sweat, the tears at times that went in it. Just raising funds for this broadcast. I mean, our members, $10, $20, $100, they all pitched in to make this a reality because they buy into what we say, which is that we refuse to be beholden to deep pocket financiers who would give you a bag of money today and expect a truckload of money when you get into office. Taxpayers' money, your money. So we set the example now, and we're taking it all the way into government. I have walked the streets constituency to constituency outside of election season in the hot sun, all to educate, empower, and inform you, the voters, as to your rights. And to the fact that after 58 years of PNM, UNC, PNM exchange and games, what do we honestly have to show for it? Healthcare failed. Our water management is a joke. I mean, we're the only country that I see takes natural water from the sky and from the aquifers and from the springs and wash it down the drain. And then when you open your pipes, salt. We in the Progressive Empowerment Party, we have built this movement out of nothing. Some of the men and women that you're going to hear from or heard from tonight helped us build this from the start. So you know I am capable. You know I am competent. But still, there's more to my story. Just like some of you did today, or will have to do tonight, before I came here, I had to open my pipes to see whether I'd be having a shower or a bucket bath, because we all know when you're from Trinidad and Tobago, it's pressure for water, not water pressure. I had, at the age of 12 years old, I had to leave my home in the wee hours of the morning, coming back sometimes in the late hours of the night, traveling to St. Augustine Girls High School. All because as a differently abled child, my mom wanted me to have the best opportunities. And having the best opportunities means going to a good school. But we all know that in our dinosaur prehistoric education system, there's a differentiation between what you get and what you learn in a good versus bad school, prestige versus government or failed school. I had to have my family unit torn apart when my dad left this country at the age of 10 months old to go abroad to seek opportunities for himself and his baby girl, because back then in a country like ours there was little opportunity for him or for me. Now, looking around the country 31 years later, what has honestly changed? So when the Progressive Empowerment Party says that we're going to decentralize water management to the constituency, allowing Diego Martin Central to catch, hold, store, treat, and distribute water, I mean it. And when I say that we are going to abolish the SCA, making all schools 10-year schools, zoned schools, prestige schools, so that a child can be educated and grow up in his community alongside his peers, and so that a child from Diamond Vale or Kokoja can go to a school like SAGS or Fatima, right in his constituency, I mean it. And when I say that the Progressive Empowerment Party wants to create hope and opportunities for home ownership, so that even a minimum wage earner can own their own home, so that you don't have to put up with your boyfriend or your best friend to get a mortgage, swallowing your dignity to go into a bank and beg, I mean it. When I say that the Progressive Empowerment Party wants to be the real change like this country has never seen before, not the exchange that the UNC selling you, trust me when I say I mean it. And when I, Felicia Holder, say that I want to be your representative in that parliament, bringing your voice, the voice of the people, the power of the people back to government, believe me when I tell you, I mean it. So come election day, when you get into that voting booth, put your X by Felicia Holder as your representative for Diego Martin Central, because I come for this work, so sign me up.
For my children when I am gone.
I'd like to introduce our candidate for the constituency of St. Augustine, Satish Ram Sarang. Satish is a deputy political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party and head of media. He got into politics because he was fed up of corruption and was scared for the future of his children. He comes from a business background. He studied economics at the University of the West Indies, but has a passion for computers and media. He lives by the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and believes this is one of the most fundamental guiding principles in his life.
Thank you, Janice. Countrymen, family, patriots, my name is Satish Ram Sarang. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a businessman, I'm head of PEP Media, I'm a deputy political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and I'm proud to be your PEP candidate for the constituency of St. Augustine. Have you ever asked yourself, what do you want in a country? I have asked myself that many times. I want to live in a country where I feel safe, where I feel that my family is safe. But every time they go out on the road, I'm scared. I want to save a little bit of money for my children, but I find it harder and harder every year. Food prices are going up, cost of living is going up, and I cannot see myself saving as much money as I want to leave for my children when I am gone. The government, those 41 members in Parliament, have the responsibility to make sure our economy is working. But it's not. And that is why I am into politics. Our country is not working. St. Augustine is in my blood. I went to primary school in St. Augustine. I went to the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine. My mother lives in St. Augustine. I live in St. Augustine. I even married a beautiful Curep girl. And I get angry at the things going on in my constituency. I went to Curep Presbyterian. When I was there was this big field where I could run, play, put my knee on the ground, and have fun. Now, my daughter goes to Curep Presbyterian, and she has to share a little 2x4 piece of pitch with 600 other children. Do you think that's fair? the Yellow Clan started construction of a new school in Curepress. Now don't get me wrong, I'm very happy they started construction. But what angers me is for that same cost of that school, the way those Yellow Clan people work, they could have built 5 schools for that money. And here comes along the Red Clan. They won elections, and with all that bad mind, they refused to finish that school. And it is the innocent children that suffer. You think they deserve that? This is why I'm in politics. I look at the farmers in St. Helena and Orange Grove and South St. Augustine, and they don't have water to grow their crops. If I was your member of Parliament for St. Augustine, I will try to help the farmers. Imagine farmers cannot get water. Look at the amount of rain that fell the other day. Can you tell me that we can't build a reservoir in St. Augustine to hold and trap that water? So in the dry season, we just let it go and give it to the farmers? Why do farmers have to pay so much money for water if they could get it? Why do farmers have to pay so much money for fuel to run their pumps? The Carry River runs through St. Augustine. Why can't we channel that water through St. Augustine through the farmlands? Why? It's not rocket science. We can fix this. And then we have the other problem of predial larceny. You can imagine the fear farmers have in their hearts every time they have to leave their fields, knowing that they could come back and all their crops are gone. That would drive me mad. I would never want to be a farmer for that one reason at all. I don't know how they could do it. If you elect a PEP government into office, we want to put a receipt system for farmers. That means if someone is caught selling produce on a commercial scale without a receipt from a farmer, a registered farmer, that person is getting into a lot of trouble. If someone is caught with livestock in their vehicle, and that vehicle is not a registered farming vehicle, and they don't have a receipt from where they got those livestock from, that person is getting into serious trouble. And it's simple like that. But why? Why don't they do it? That is why I'm into politics, because somebody has to do it. We have to borrow money to pay loans. My children and their children will be in debt. And that's no fault of their own. That's the fault of us. That is the fault of the previous generations. You think that's fair to them? That is why I'm in politics. This has to stop. We have to go after the corruption. We have to go after the money. In closing, I don't want to talk to you like a politician. We know that our country is failing. We know that we're heading in the direction of Venezuela. What are we doing about it? You see that sign over there? It's time for real change. I chose to be that change. I chose to take responsibility. That's why I'm into politics. You, if you see the same thing as me, and you see the way we're heading, and you see that those 41 members in Parliament do not care for us, it is time we get rid of them. We built the Progressive Empowerment Party to do that. Watch all the people that's on this show. No past politicians. No deep pocket financiers. We chose to take the hard way, the hard route, and start a political party from scratch, just to fix our country. It's going to be hard, it's going to be long, but we have to start from somewhere. Are you ready to fix our country? Are you ready for a better future? If you are, you have to be that change. You have to be that real change. My name is Satish Ram Sarang, and I'm so proud to be your candidate for the constituency of St. Augustine. How may I serve you?
Next up, I would like to introduce our candidate for the constituency of Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, Lima McCloud. Lima is a deputy political leader and co-chair of the women's arm under the Progressive Empowerment Party. She's very passionate about adopting rescued animals as opposed to buying them. She has always been one for protest action against the injustice against workers and rights of our people. So naturally, politics just seemed the right place to start fixing things.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Lima McCloud, and I am the Progressive Empowerment Party's candidate for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, soon to be Stuart Young's replacement. Let me begin by saying I am a wife, a mother to 3 children, and a regular public servant. I wasn't born with a golden spoon or a silver one for that matter. My parents just did what they had to do to provide. So I am not immune to any of the challenges that we face on a daily basis. You know, things like lack of water, lack of security, poor health care, bad roads, poor garbage retainers, high cost of living, and the inability to qualify for a mortgage. Why? Because my salary is based on a cost of living from 2013. Yeah, 2013. So how can we continue to vote for people who do not face these realities? How can we elect people who do not even live in our constituency? These people don't feel what we feel. They don't go through what we go through. Many of them have the option of seeking private health care or even going abroad for medical attention. Ask Maxi Coffee. Many of them get actually not even many, all of them get tax-free vehicles. So on the rare occasion they do pass by, they don't feel a thing. They don't have to go to the supermarket with a calculator. We do. Many of them probably don't even shop for themselves. And I'm sure many of them probably didn't have to worry about any of these before being elected. So again, why should we vote for people who do not face our reality? This is why I come humbly to the constituents of Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, seeking your help to fix our constituency, our community, and by extension, our country. We, the Progressive Empowerment Party, advocate for the return of the family unit. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. Imagine a minimum wage worker being able to own a home. A single parent, for that matter, being able to own their home. 0%, 0 deposit, 0 interest loans for 30 years up to $1.5 million. That's a policy actually I need right now. I'm sure many people would be grateful for this policy. That is an investment in our community. So why do we not have these simple plans, simple policies? We insist that it should be the agenda of every member of parliament to seek employment opportunities and home ownership for all members of their constituency. And small business opportunities like recycling, sports, local tourism, agriculture, farming. The sky is the limit. The time for the days for empty promises are over. And idle talk and bacchanal politics must come to an end. And so too to the contract mafia. Let's bring it back home. Let's support each other. Let us do this. Let us be each other's keeper. The time for real change is now. We are one people under one flag, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Lima McCloud, your Progressive Empowerment Party candidate for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West. Stand with me, fight alongside me. Let us take this constituency back. Give it real change. We have never seen change. It is time for change, real change. Let us show them. Vote for me, Progressive Empowerment Party. Thank you.
I would like to introduce our candidate for the constituency of Labray, Rondell Glasgow. Rondell is a long-standing resident of Labray. From an early age, he joined many groups and teams. At the Coronation Park Orphanage, He helped with homework and taught primary and lower form students. He also mentored at-risk youths and indisciplined children from time to time. He is actively involved in his village council and in his community.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and a special good evening to my wonderful constituents in the constituency of Labre. I am Rondell Glasgow, the Progressive Empowerment Party's candidate for Labre. Labre as a constituency is just about 150 years old, depending on which source you get your information from. And I can tell you that as ancient as my constituency is, and as full and fruitful of natural resources as my constituency is, there are a lot of people, about 20%, who live in my constituency without running water or without electricity. I just said that. We have 7 beaches in Labre. In Labre as a constituency, we have growing out of the soil, TLA, the best coffee on planet Earth, the best cocoa on planet Earth. Some of the best mango you would ever find anywhere on planet Earth comes from Labre. Some of the best cane and sugar that you could find comes from Labre. And the first oil well that was ever dug in Trinidad, making Trinidad and Tobago oil rich, came from Labre. So then, how is it that year after year, during the rainy season, thousands and thousands of people find themselves marooned on their own homes because of preventable flooding? How come in my entire constituency we only have 2 ATMs and no bank? How come in my constituency we have lost a magistrate's court, we've lost a district revenue office, we've lost 30% of the roads that we had, they just simply became derelict? How come a place like that could be so neglected with all of the things that are necessary to make a constituency an economic superpower? Well, it's time for real change. It's time for real representation. Let us be honest. We've had 11 entire parliaments. We've had 58 years of governance. And in all of that time, there's been very limited development, if any at all, in my constituency. All of it has to do with representation. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only political party with the authority to say that we have challenged every other political party to a debate on policy only, and we won by default. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only party that has solutions for every single problem you could think about where governance is concerned. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only party that puts out in the public space the amount of information we do on a daily basis for free. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the only option, therefore, in 2020. Allow me to stand in Parliament. Allow me to be that strong voice with the strong guiding hands of a magnificent leadership from a magnificent party. Allow me to represent you and speak and let things happen for the first time in so long. Labre as a constituency can be a magnificent place under the right leadership with the right policies. Labre as a constituency has been divided into 2. Anybody who is from Labre would know that the village named Labre is just one very small part of the entire constituency, and that we are divided by a natural forest. But in between that forest exists oil wells that are ancient and that are making people sick. Because right next to those oil wells live people in little 10 by 10 shacks, not even economically stable enough to have an outhouse. And all of this seems to be our norm. How could it be that all of this money has indeed flowed through my constituency and not yet trickled down to you? Again, representation. The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes to decentralize WASA, to decentralize all of the important arms of government to the constituency. No longer will a contractor come from quite some hill to come to pave a road inside Library and not pave it properly. No longer shall a private contractor come from another constituency and be paid millions of dollars to do work in our constituency and not hire anybody from the constituency. We need jobs in Library. We need employment. We need sustainable employment. And me, as your representative, I will bring that change. It's time for real change. It's time for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Again, I shall remind you of my name. My name is Rondell Glasgow, and I'm the PEP candidate for the constituency of Library.
I would like to introduce our candidate for the constituency of Barataria San Juan, Alberta Prudine.
I am Alberta Purdine, your candidate for the Barataria Sawa constituency. Let us vote for change. Let us reclaim our country. Let us reclaim our constituency. Let us put an end to corruption and get things working again. Vote the Progressive Empowerment Party into office. Save TNT. Vote PEP. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vernon De Lima, and I'm speaking to you from Florida in the United States of America, where I am locked down because of this virus. The chances are that I will not be able to return to Trinidad in time for the national election. But I wish to personally support Philip Edward Alexander and the Progressive Empowerment Party. Philip has a vision for Trinidad and Tobago, and I am certain that he will make us safer, sounder, and happier. I therefore am very proud to stand with Philip and the Progressive Empowerment Party as we go forward. And I hope that I will be able to come to Trinidad in order to cast my vote for the Progressive Empowerment Party. Thank you.
Next up, he is a social and political activist, writer, blogger, businessman, and the founder of the Jericho Project, one of the most recognized charitable organizations in the country. His work with the orphans, homeless, and disabled has improved the lives of many. As the head of the Diego Martin Redevelopment Committee, he was instrumental in the design, lobby, and the construction of the Diego Martin bypass at Four Roads, a project that has saved millions of man-hours for thousands of people. He is one of the founders and the political leader of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander.
Thank you very much, Janice Lemon Creaky, for that wonderful introduction. Thank all of you who are taking the time to follow us with this presentation tonight of our first batch of candidates for a general election as the country's newest big political party. The Progressive Empowerment Party began this journey 3.5 years ago, January 18, 2017, at 19 Stanmore Avenue. But we began a lot longer. We were meeting for a little over a year. In his presentation tonight, Ian mentioned Colin Hamilton. He was one of the people who was with us from the start, and he passed away recently. And I'd like to join Ian in saying, may he rest in peace, and condolences to his family. And the reason I would bring Colin up is because he epitomizes the spirit of the Progressive Empowerment Party. All of these people that you met tonight, all of these people that spoke to you tonight, that making this massive sacrifice for country, all of them, no names, no brands, no stunt artists, everyday people, just like you, just like me, everyday people who want a better Trinidad and Tobago. And Others touched on this earlier, but I want to touch on what it takes to challenge the duopoly, the established two-party system in Trinidad and Tobago built on a base. When the Progressive Empowerment Party was formed, every interview that we got, we were asked what was our base, because the PNM is supposed to speak for the Afro-Trinidadian base, and the UNC is supposed to speak for the Indo-Trinidadian base. And it always struck me as obscene that our politics could be divided based on race. Because when you divide a country by race, you sow the seeds of racism. And you only have to look to the United States of America right now and everything that is spinning off of that whole George Floyd murder that was the culmination of years and decades of racism, to understand that there's nothing good down that street for anybody, especially not for a country like Trinidad and Tobago, who the advertising agencies would have you believe the Ganges meets the Nile. Does it really? David Rudder said, how we vote is not how we party. So what does that say about us as a people? That we so easily led astray, that we could be appealed to tribal instincts to separate ourselves from each other. How does that work? How did we ever expect that to work out for us? Half a boat would sail and the other half would sink. How did we ever expect that to bear good fruit? Look at what we are. Trinidad and Tobago, a country broken by deliberate design. Look at it. Nothing works in this country. Nothing works. 58 years of PNM, UNC, PNM. 58 years of corruption, mismanagement, incompetence. The only reason there's a Progressive Empowerment Party is because for 58 years, everything that has ever been a government in this country has failed us. Everything. To the point where even the Chamber of Commerce now admits that neither of those political organizations care about the people of this country, care about the business community of this country. When the head, the CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce was exposed for his personal opinion and lambasted by the Prime Minister, when the Chamber of Commerce closed ranks behind him, it sent a message to the government and the opposition. The same message that little boy in Beetham who skated water on his member of parliament, Fitzgerald Hines. The same message. The message is clear. The people of Trinidad and Tobago are no longer satisfied with what passes for representation. We've been lied to and led astray for too long. Look around. Nothing works. The last time we had a meeting this size that resulted in us getting some media, the issue that we were championing, or the issue that they took away, was the issue of the SEA and the Progressive Empowerment Party's proposed policy to abolish the SEA and replace our existing education system with 10-year schools, zone schools, with a grade point average that made the teacher responsible for the performance of the students and the principal responsible for the performance of the teacher and the education supervisor of the constituency responsible for the performance of all principals, all schools, all teachers and all students, and ultimately a minister of education responsible through all of that. Now contrast and compare that to what we have now. We have a system now where a couple of children every year out of 20,000 go to prestige schools, and the devil could take the rest. How much is the rest? About 7,000 fail out of our education system every year to nothing, to no passes, to no hope, to not even a security guard work. So what's going to happen to them? And I say this to the parents who still believe that there's anything of value in an SEA. When your child passes for a prestige school, what do you think happens to the children who fail out of the system? What do you think happens when your child and those children meet up 10 years down the road? Think it through. The country we have does not work. And it does not work because none of the systems set up to operate this country works. I have been in the rivers all through Trinidad and Tobago. I have walked the rivers, the northern range, to prove a point, to demonstrate that this is a country where our water management system is built around capturing the rainwater that we get for free and washing it out to sea, and then spending $500 million a year desalinating seawater. Now, if that's not deliberately stupid, it's something else. It's something worse. It's something corrupt. Because besides the $500 million that water plan forces the country to spend on desalinated water that we do not need, it also sells bottled water that it shouldn't, littering the environment with plastics that we could do without. It sells water tanks and water pumps, and to the people below the poverty line, it sells undue hardship and water in a bucket and hoping for the best and making do in the third wealthiest nation in the Western world. Nothing in Trinidad and Tobago works. Our water system, the Progressive Empowerment Party, proposes a simple system. Catch, hold, treat, distribute. Any of the rivers in the northern range could hold billions of water in a rainy season. Catch and pump to retention ponds. That would cost us less than the $500 million we spent on desalinated water that we don't need. But it's even cheaper because properly done, using sluice gates and water-driven turbines, the actual water could power the pumps themselves and cost us nothing. The rain falling from the sky would fill our rivers, flow over sluice gates, drive turbines, creating electricity, powering pumps that could pump the water that's in the river behind the sluice gate anywhere we want, for free. Now tell me, is it that no other government ever thought that we should use the bounty of fresh rain instead of washing it all out to sea? Is it that none of them have ever been competent? Or is it something worse? Is it that no government has known that the maritime security wall proposed that would shut this nation's borders and end the drug trade, the gun trade, the dirty money trade, the human trafficking trade, and all of the contraband trade? You think none of them knew how to do it? The barges that we need to repurpose, to refit for customs and Coast Guard and DEA and police to operate are idle right now down the islands, costing money. Those barges could be repositioned 3 miles out at sea, making a virtual ring around Trinidad and Tobago, connected by the 360-degree radar and sonar buoys. Nothing in the sky, nothing on the sea, nothing below the water could pass that virtual line in the sea. Equipped with fast attack boats and interceptor helicopters, anything that doesn't yield to be searched could be sunk right where it is, making our maritime borders sovereign for the first time in our history. Right now, you could build a jetty outside your waterfront property anywhere from Bayshore to Marabella. And you could go on a joyful jaunt anywhere around the world and come back without anybody taking even so much as a look in to see what you might have brought back. The yacht club and the yachting associations and all the other places that have no customs, no immigration, could do as they damn well please. And that's why we end up with 150,000 Venezuelans in the country. And they're coming in by the droves every day. So why is it that we don't stop it? Is it that somebody has a vested interest in leaving our borders wide open? The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes, besides constructing the maritime security wall, to move the Port of Spain out of Port of Spain, because the Port of Spain, 40 to 50% of the containers come off ships straight into Trinidad and Tobago without so much as a scan, a sniff, or a look-in. Again, in a country that has shipped hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of cocaine and other narcotics around the world, it's sad to say that the governments of the day that we have had have failed us, if not deliberately, then such massive incompetence as to warrant you asking, why would you consider even voting for anything they put out again. Stunt artists maybe, names, footballers, cricketers, calypsonians, dancers, acrobats, jugglers, spin doctors. You're going to get candidates from the PNM and the UNC designed to hoodwink and fool you, hook you and take your vote again and give you nothing in return. The Port of Spain, 90% or more of the containers that come off the ships leave Port of Spain, adding unnecessary traffic to Wrightson Road. Moving the Port of Spain to a facility 10 times the size in Point Lisas will end that traffic, and better, would give us the opportunity to unstuff every container on the port. Now, there are businessmen in this country that would tell you that that would slow down the movement of cargo, possibly, but it would definitely stop the movement of illicit cargo, and that's the goal. You see, the moment we establish the maritime security wall, and the moment we start unstuffing the containers on the ports, the 50,000 illegal guns that are in the country right now, the 37,000 that the Prime Minister admitted to in 2018, that ballooned to 50,000 by the time the Senate got their hands on it in 2020, that 50,000 illegal guns will be the last illegal guns to come into this country. And then a proper government would be able to monetize the police service and give police officers $1,000, $2,000 bonus for every gun they bring in. You see, putting aside $100 million to buy illegal guns sounds like a lot of money. But when you think that we spend $9,000 million, $9 billion a year on national security chasing those same guns, then that $100 million don't sound like a lot. And seeing that we used to spend $80 million transporting prisoners that cost us $30,000 a month to house, that stole $300 and $400 in sneakers and corned beef, you'd understand the deliberate mismanagement and the incompetence of this government system that has been fronting and operating as if the treasury dollars was just there to fatten financiers. It's time to make things work. The $80 million being spent transporting prisoners, the Progressive Empowerment Party has said for the past 10 years that if we were to build the jails, the courts adjacent to the jails, the magistrates' court, a $20 million investment throughout the country, a one-time payment, we would have saved over $1 billion in prisoner transport and end the harassment of drivers on the road being run off the road by trucks full of prisoners that did not need to be moving back and forth. Again, these are all simple measures, simple solutions. It's easy to understand. For you to hear these measures and not consider that it's worth a try, that you might think, I still want to support my party. What does that say about you? If your country is not more important than the group or the gang that you belong to, then where are we going? We're already broken. We're in debt. The world now has been broken by COVID-19. So there aren't that many options for us to get relief. We are completely in debt. Contrast and compare us to countries like Dubai and Singapore and Norway and ask why we would be where we are. Dubai sits in the middle of a desert and has water 24/7. Singapore is a quarter the size of Trinidad and Tobago, yet it has a population of 5 million souls. And while we have a GDP of $22 billion a year pre-COVID-19, Singapore boasts a GDP of $322 billion a year. A country that has no oil, no gas, no pitch lake, no Tobago, no Nyland pool, no largest brain coral in the world, no Bucco Reef, no Pigeon Point, no oldest old growth forest on the planet. None of those things that Trinidad has. Trinidad and Tobago, the only Caribbean destination outside of the hurricane belt that should be dominating the world in shipping, ship turnaround, marine services, marine storage for pleasure craft, and cruise ship tourism, just to name a few. Things that don't even come ashore could be generating billions of dollars for this country. Mexico earns $1.5 billion a year shipping avocados to America, a quarter the size of our butter Pollock avocados. We have so much land in the name of Clico, CL Financial, former Caroni lands, existing Petrotrin lands, growing razor grass and being cut up and subdivided again for friends and financiers of a political dynasty that has been playing exchange throughout this country, making overnight millionaires and billionaires while the people are left to suck salt. Those fields, those empty agricultural acres could be growing avocado, mango, guava, soursop, breadfruit, real food. They could be making it possible for us to be food self-sufficient. Imagine the 41,000 farmers that are looking for land. Imagine a proper marketing organization created to work with those 41,000 farmers to make land available rent-free, lease-free, once you're producing between 60 to 80% of the yield anticipated on the land for the crop determined to keep prices stable. You see, we don't need glut and we don't need drought. Trinidad has benefited from the price of oil, and Norway has benefited from the price of oil. Contrast and compare the two. Norway has a heritage and stabilization fund of a little over $1 trillion and earns them $100 billion a year. More money than we spend in our budget, almost twice our annual budget. We have $6 billion in our heritage and stabilization fund. Make no mistake, we made trillions of dollars, and we should have at least $1 trillion in our heritage and stabilization fund. But our money is not in Trinidad and Tobago. Our money is in the offshore bank accounts of friends and financiers of political parties and governments that have gone before. Nothing I am saying is new to you. We've had a rogues gallery of names as governments come and governments go and collapse in a heap of allegations of corruption. Yet no director of public prosecutions has ever been able to bring not one to justice. No fraud squad, no organization of narcotics, nothing has been able to stop the rampant rampage through our treasury, the gorging and looting that has taken place. We've turned the National Insurance Board into a disco finance hub, to finance restaurants for friends of the government. $41 million interest-free. We've spent $25 billion bailing out an insurance company 12 years ago, and we got no interest on that. That money would have doubled by now. That means not only is the first $25 billion at risk, but the second $25 billion that we could have gotten as interest, we lost that too. Going forward from here, shouldn't we want a government in office that could not only understand how the thing is supposed to work, but be willing to do the things that makes it work? Look at who spoke to you tonight. Not one recycled politician, not one brand, not one name, not one stunt artist. We've resisted the urge to do like the rest and gang up and link up for expediency. The Progressive Empowerment Party for 3.5 years has worked hard, tirelessly, day after day after day. Even under a media blackout, most of Trinidad and Tobago is aware of the existence of this party because of thousands of hours of live video and millions of words published over the years. We've never stopped. We've never given up on our mandate to inform, educate, and empower. We've changed the narrative. We've influenced the political culture. 1 month prior to the formation of the Progressive Empowerment Party, who spent more on roti dominated the parliament. Now, political parties are trying to pretend that they're running away from their own selves. They're distancing themselves from themselves. They're trying to become change and fire their own members that they operated in government with before. Political parties are trying to pretend that they have policies all of a sudden, policies that is nowhere in any of their manifestos prior to the launch of the Progressive Empowerment Party. We are the only political organization in this country's history to launch with a manifesto. We gave 21 policies to this country that every single person in every industry touched by those policies says, if you do one of these, you will change this country forever. Lima touched on our housing policy. Let's talk housing. 0 deposit, 0 interest for first-time homeowners up to 30 years for up to 1.5 million. Knee-jerk reaction from the upper middle class. Where that money coming from? The $9 billion we spent on national security, chasing guns. $100 million we spent transporting prisoners that we don't need to transport. The money that we waste buying desalinated water that we don't need to buy. All of that would pay for this. Plus, we have money. We still have money in the system. And the moment the government makes it possible for first-time homeowners to really own a home, especially minimum wage earners, because this policy would reduce the cost of borrowing money to just under $500 per $100,000 per year, per month for a mortgage. Somebody earning $2,800 a month as a minimum wage. That was the last number I heard before columns increased, and I'm still to find out if it has increased. $2,800 a month. That means normal lending criteria requires 40% of your income to be allocated towards your mortgage payment. $2,880, take $1,000 out of that. That means you could buy a house for $200,000. $200,000 could build a 900 to 1,200 square foot starter home properly done at existing prices. But the Progressive Empowerment Party proposes to take it further. For first-time homeowners, we offer tax-free on all building material, basic building material, basic blocks, basic lumber, nails, screws, doors, windows, concrete, sand, gravel, steel. The things you need to build or renovate a home. So the average person would be able to take responsibility for their own home ownership issues, and we won't need an HDC to run through $1 billion a year or more buying overpriced ghetto complexes from mediocre contractors and then gouge out the eyes of the poor looking for somewhere to raise their families. All of our policies and all of our systems seem to have been designed to advantage the country and to abuse the people. And we need to undo that. And you're not going to undo that if you don't take a position that the citizen is the most important person in the equation. The Progressive Empowerment Party is the first political organization to explain that the well-being of each and every citizen is the function, purpose, and reason for government. Simply put, without people to manage, there's no need for government. The government's job, first job, is to make sure that anyone who wants a job can have a job. If that's not the case, if we are underemploying our people, if our people are barely getting by for slave wages, eking out job after job, trying to put food on the table, the government's not doing its job. This country supposed to have a GDP $400 billion a year. We're supposed to have a population in excess of 6 million people. And we could, if we properly run this country, the 2 million Trinidadians outside will come back home because they miss home. They want first world living, but they want it in Trinidad and Tobago. Has any government done that? I heard a former public utilities minister on a television interview speak to the host in glee about the surprise he had in England, London, when every time he turned on the tap that there was water. And he was the Minister of Public Utilities. And he didn't understand how they did that. And that's amazing. That this is what we've drawn from as leadership and government in this country. The Progressive Empowerment Party says rebuild the citizen, rebuild the family, rebuild the community, rebuild the constituency to rebuild the country. A nation is a collection of communities. Job one has to be jobs. The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes to abolish all high commissions and embassies of Trinidad and Tobago, save and except for 5. Europe, Africa, United Nations, Asia, and America. We live in a time where I could pick up my phone and I could FaceTime Donald Trump or any world leader for that matter. So the need for embassies and high commissions to receive letters and host meetings are no more. So what would be the new purpose of these 5 super high commissions? 2 things. To sell Trinidad to the world and to encourage and seek out foreign direct investment in all manner of industry for Trinidad and Tobago, especially labor intensive, that develops the skill set of our people. The government's responsibility is to make sure that all who want a job could get one, and that all who have a job and wants to own a home could own one. Those two things properly dealt with. The science says that if people own, in countries where people own their homes and have access to good quality jobs, crime is low. Rebuild the community. End the nonsense of driving all over the country, dropping children to school. Zone the schools. The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes 200 purpose-built schools of 1,000 children population per school to take care of the 200,000 children that go to school in this country from Standard 1 to Form 5. That the parents and the caregivers and the children would grow with the teachers and the students and the administrators, and that you would build a community just around the school. And if the parents could own a home in the community where the children go to school, and if they could work or get into business in the constituency where the children go to school, then you knit the communities together. And a strong community, again, fights crime all on its own. We are the opposite of that. In Trinidad and Tobago, the average person doesn't know where the next job is coming from. They don't know who to turn to own a home. The last number I heard from the Home Mortgage Bank as a special for people on low income was a $16,000 threshold. Who is that catered to? When more than 700,000 people in this country hover around the poverty line. We do not operate this country like we care about people. No government of any day has ever treated the people of this country like they matter. The Progressive Empowerment Party says prestige education for all. I sat in the stadium, in the stands across from Fatima College and did a live video asking, how could one school, Fatima College, be one of the prestige schools in Trinidad, and across 2 lanes of tar is Mokorapo Secondary, one of the failed schools in the country? And nothing is absolute. There would be children from Fatima who fail, but that's the minority. And there'll be children of Mokorapo who succeed, but again, the minority. Why can't we level the two? Why can't we get both to function at the highest level? Finland does. Finland, that has the highest standard of education in the world, higher than the next 4 countries combined. Finland says, do not separate fast from slow learners. Keep them in the same stream and they'll carry each other along. Yes, you're going to need special schools for the absolute slow learners, and yes, you're going to need special schools for the absolute gifted children. We also need to introduce into our curriculum in our education system things like trades and agriculture, because the average person in this country should know how to grow food and how to fix a leak. If you don't, time and disaster could be in front of you. We need a country where leaders lead people to places they need to be. We need to get our people settled and comfortable. All the people of this country should have access to decent, well-paying jobs or credit if they want to become entrepreneurs or start a business. How would you introduce credit into an economy like this one, where banks no longer have to lend? We do money warehousing where banking should be. We have no financial service regulations that matter. So banks no longer have to pay you interest on your funds. So they remove that cost of doing business and have replaced it with a charge and a fee for just about everything, making billions of dollars safely without having to lend money, which was the original banking relationship in the first place. The Progressive Empowerment Party says we need to return to that. Central Bank and the Ministry of Finance have to work together to set rates, deposit interest rates and lending interest rates. We also need to open this market and bring in more banks to compete with the banks that we have, so that the average person could move from net employee to net employer in quick time and remove the state from having to waste money in the alphabet soup of handouts that we do now. Quality jobs, the ability to own a home, fresh water in your taps 24/7, quality education for your children, safety and security in a country where the borders are secured and all 50,000 guns are picked up by police officers who earned that $100 million and didn't have to look to drug traffickers for bribes to augment even their pittance of a salary. We propose body cams and dashboard cams and the decentralization of the precinct model of the police service. In fact, the Progressive Empowerment Party proposes to shut down the failed local government, the failed regional health authority system that only works to loot the treasury. It fails us. $5 billion a year spent on our health care earns us nothing but misery and mayhem and casualty. The 41 constituencies deserve their own casualty center for all the things that somebody could be rushed to a hospital for. Freeing up the main hospitals for things that are longer stay and require more surgery and more medical intervention. But 41 purpose-built, 24/7 health and emergency centers operated by nurse practitioners. Nurse practitioners are people just above a nurse, just below a doctor, capable of dealing with just about anything. So you could operate these health centers with on-call doctors 24/7. So if you need your food badge and you want to go 2 o'clock in the morning to do it, you could. These are the issues we talk about. These are issues that we champion. And we could save a lot of money that way. The progressive, that would actually cost us less than half of the operational cost of the existing public health sector. The Progressive Empowerment Party also proposes a transparent and robust tender system to shut down UDCOT, to shut down Sport TT, EMBD, EFCL, VEMCOT, all of the special purpose companies, and to create an arm's length behind those giving the contracts and those awarding the contracts. If the person who needs the item has no connection to the company supplying the item, corruption cannot take place. And it is between those two that we plan to intersperse a proper tenders board. There are things that we can do in this country. When we say shut down the regional health authorities and shut down local government and shut down the THA, abolish them, abolish the precinct model of the police service, replace them with a constituency board of supervisors that brings government back to the people, a board of a supervisor of public works, public utilities, healthcare, education, and security, so that each constituency could become autonomous and budgeted at budget time to manage, maintain, and develop themselves. In quick time, people would be able to choose where they want to live in constituencies properly managed, and the future would be bright for all of Trinidad and Tobago. These things sound like a lot, and they may sound like a lot because nothing else was done. We've mismanaged and damaged the psyche of our people. They undervalue themselves and they under-expect from government. That needs to change. Government is public servants. We will outlaw blue light-itis. And it is a damnable shame that the Minister of Works and Transport, responsible for eradicating traffic, gets to evade it. It would be perfect irony if the Minister of Works and Transport in a cabinet meeting had to wait for his colleagues who got there late because of traffic. Then perhaps the Prime Minister would say, can't we do anything to solve this problem? The Progressive Empowerment Party proposes solutions. By zoning the schools, if you realize when schools are closed, half the traffic is gone. By zoning the schools, we'll take care of half the traffic. If we digitize and move most of the unnecessary government offices to the cloud and make a lot of these services virtual, we will save a lot of time and a lot of money spent on unnecessary real estate and end the need for 300,000 people to drive into and out of Port of Spain every day to man these offices. The remaining offices should be relocated to a new city, dead center in the island, to make it easy for those who have to commute to get there without having to drive to Port of Spain and back every single day, creating all of the traffic in the country that they used as a reason to spend $550 million on a rapid rail study that we didn't need. No, we do not yet need mass transit. What we need is a traffic plan that makes sense and a spatial development plan that you could build around. After that, you would know what the needs of the country are. But again, all of these things you would know if politics and governance weren't the same thing in Trinidad and Tobago. If bacchanal and noise wasn't what we got instead of leadership. The Progressive Empowerment Party says, put us in office, give us a chance. You can't do worse. We're already in a hole and digging deeper. If you want a better country, if you want a better chance for a good life for you, your children, your family, your loved ones, your elders, if you want to stay and grow old in Trinidad and Tobago, in a country where you would like to be safe, to be able to own your own home right up to the very end, to have access to clean water and medical services, if you want a Trinidad and Tobago that functions as a first world developed nation, this election here, send a message. Send a clear message that what you want is real representation. The time for real change is now. We've had change, exchange promises for years upon years. This is not a spit out, spill over, recycle politician event. This is a political party built by people, for people, of people. If you want a better country, think about the things that we are bringing to you. These issues and these solutions. Think about it. Talk to others. Use Google and search and research and find out if everything we say is true. And if you find that securing the nation's borders would end the drug trade, end the crime, end the gangs, lower the crime, then support us. If putting the jails, if putting the courts outside the jails would save us hundreds of millions of dollars a year, then support us. If capturing the bounty of rainfall, holding it, treating it, and distributing it would not only save you money and get you back the land under your water tanks, but it would guarantee you water 24/7. Vote for us. Vote yourself a better country. Vote yourself a safer country. Vote yourself where you could own a home. People are going to ask about our homeowner policy, where the land's supposed to come from. The same place that the land is made available to big businesses for peppercorn rents from the Port Authority or from the state. Everybody should be benefited. The Progressive Empowerment Party plans to be a rising tide that lifts all boats. The color of this party is orange to give you an opportunity to break away from racial voting. We say, meet us in the center. If you want a better country, let's become one people under one flag. Let our vision be a developed nation, a country where none of our people are left behind. If you want a better TNT, this election, vote PEP.
Thank you for joining us in our first presentation of candidates for the 2020 general elections. A special thank you to those who have made this broadcast possible. Thank you to the viewers, thank you to the candidates, thank you to the members of the Progressive Empowerment Party. We look forward to seeing you again when we present our further candidates coming up. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago. Good night.